Good day everybody, and welcome back to the final video in the Hi-Fi series part. For the next step, I'm busy making parts for a frame that will house the back panels of the record holders. Here I'm busy gluing the parts to make the frame for the back panels. As said before, this will be for where the records are stored. Basically where you can see it once you sort through the records, on the top side and on the bottom side. Once the frames are glued in place, I'm busy with the back panels. They will overlap each other to make a nice fitting pattern that the user can see. This is an example of how the back panels will display once they're glued into shape. Each of the visible sides is also chamfered a little bit, so it's not a hard edge at the end of the day. This makes it also pleasing to the eye. And as you can see here, I'm busy gluing the back panel for the bottom side. The top one has already been glued into place. I'm also gluing some back frames to keep them in order, so they don't pop out easily. Since this is a hi-fi cabinet, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and for the hi-fi parts I'm just going to use this backing board, as with most places. The user won't see this at all at the end of the day, so I'm not really bothered by using this piece of equipment. Here I'm drilling holes for each hi-fi slot so that I can put wires through it. And in this case, this is the backboard that I'm going to use for the light fixture. Once again, the user is not going to see this, so using this instead of real wood, I am okay with it. And here is the hi-fi cabinet on the back side, so we can see how everything is now in place. We can see we have the backing boards, we have the other boards for the hi-fi equipment, as well as our light fixture. Everything is now screwed into place. With that business done, it's now time to make parts for the actual frame that will be the light fixture at the front. The outside pieces of the frame is going to be lapped, and that is what I'm preparing here for each piece. With the outer pieces of the frame done, I'm busy making mortises on the top and bottom piece of the frame. This will house the pattern frame that I'm going to add. Once that is done, it's now time to glue up the main parts of the frame. Basically the outside pieces as well as the inside pieces into the mortise holes, as I just explained. While the frame is drying, I'm going to prepare so long the decorative pieces that will go into this middle part of the frame. These pieces are going to be overlapped to the middle part of the frame, and that's what I'm busy doing here, cutting out the lapped parts. To make sure that each part has a consistent depth as well as the right depth that I want, the router here comes in quite in handy. With the main frame dried and all the parts ready for assembly, it's now time to glue them into place. I've marked paths on the frame itself of where the glue must go, or each piece must actually be glued in, so to speak. With the frame now finally completed, it's time to add some DIY Danish oil and make it sure that it's dried completely before the next step. After the oil has dried, I can now finally add the sail or the cloth piece to the back of the frame. This will dim the light so it's not so bright and sharp when it's on. Here is the frame in place in the hi-fi cabinet, so let's give it a test. As you can see, for our button we can turn it on and we can turn it off again, and so forth. Now for the final part of the hi-fi cabinet, which is going to be a floating desktop on top of the hi-fi cabinet, or semi-floating in this regard. I've already prepared each piece, and now they're ready to be jointed together, as you can see here. Once each piece is jointed by using the plane, it's time to glue them together, as you can see here. Once that is done, these are the blocks that I'm going to use to glue the top part to the hi-fi cabinet to give it that floaty look. To finish off the top part, I'm giving the top and bottom side a chamfer. This will add to the floating look of the top part at the end of the day. And with that done, it's now time to attach it to the hi-fi cabinet, as you can see here. And finally the last part, now it's to apply my DIY Danish oil to all the pieces of the hi-fi cabinet, starting with the top and working my way to the bottom, and then to ensure that it's dry before finally putting it into place. So here's the left side of the hi-fi cabinet, now with the oil dried. You can also see the inside of where the light fixture is. And here is the right side of the hi-fi cabinet with the oil dried. You can see how the back panels add quite a nice decorative feel where the records are going to be stored and be seen by the user. And here is the hi-fi cabinet now finished, and everything is put in place. All the hi-fi equipment is stored where it wants to be, as well as my records on the top and the bottom side. Later on I still need to add stands for my speakers, but that can wait. Here I'm testing the light fixture just to show how it looks like. Complete darkness, but with a press of the button the light shines and fills the whole room. And once again, this is just a front view of how it looks like when the lights are put off, but the light of the hi-fi cabinet is still on. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you had a good time, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!